All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about something, well, it's a little unsettling. It's this idea that our companies, and maybe even our own minds, are dealing with a brand new kind of cognitive decline. And the crazy part? It's being supercharged by the very AI we built to make us smarter.
The source material for this explainer kicks off as something really personal, really powerful. That single word, dementia. But it's not just a clinical term here. No, it's described as this hollow feeling, like a blank slate. And that feeling, well, it's the key to a pretty shocking comparison.
Because that exact same hollow feeling is what the author says they've seen in the corporate world. You have these huge organizations just methodically erasing their own identity, their own history, their own soul, all for the sake of strategy. It's like a corporate form of dementia.
And look, this wasn't some overnight thing. It started, after the internet boom, with all that rebranding, companies choosing these bland, safe names instead of ones with actual history. Then you get the 2008 crisis, and suddenly everyone's looking for these outsiders, these wild ducks to come in and save the day. Fast forward to the pandemic, and we're all trying to make ourselves more like machines just to survive. And now? Well, now the AI boom is just pouring gasoline all over this crisis of meaning.
Which brings us to the heart of the diagnosis. It's called a cognitive collapse. And this isn't just about business, and it's not just about tech. It's a crisis we're all in together, humans and AI.
So on one side of this problem, you've got what's called AI model collapse. Just think of it like a photocopy of a photocopy. An AI learns from the internet, right? But pretty soon, it starts learning from stuff other AIs made. It's looking in a mirror that's looking in another mirror. And with every reflection, the image gets fuzzier, more distorted, and further from the real thing.
And here's where it gets really chilling. We are doing the exact same thing to ourselves. We're trapped in our own feedback loops, right? Social media bubbles, algorithmic feeds, these echo chambers. We're just feeding on our own recycled synthetic content. It's being called a kind of digital dementia, where just understanding what's real becomes a luxury.
And the scale of the human side of this, it's just staggering. The World Health Organization estimates that by 2050, we're looking at nearly 140 million people living with dementia. So this isn't some abstract digital problem we're talking about. It is deeply, deeply human. And our digital lives, they might be building a second, parallel road to a very similar place.
Which leads to this really powerful and kind of disturbing image. You know the Ouroboros, right? The snake eating its own tail? Well, the old symbol was about rebirth. It always saved its head. But in this new AI-driven version, we're eating both, the tail and the head. We're erasing our history and our ability to think up a new future.
So the big question is, why is it so hard to break out of this loop? Well, it's because there's a war going on in our heads between two totally different ways of thinking, linear and hypermedia.
For a long, long time, the business world has basically worshipped the linear mind. Everything is sequential, it's predictable, step A, then step B, then step C. Think of it like an old app on your phone. It works fine when things are simple. But our natural way of thinking, our human source code, is the hypermedia mind. This mind thinks in connections. It leaps from A to Z and then back to M. It doesn't just follow the rules, it makes the rules. It's built for the messy, ambiguous world we actually live in.
And you want to hear a beautiful, perfect example of this hypermedia mind in action? It comes from the author's mother. As her dementia progressed, it was like it stripped away all that linear, rigid conditioning. She wasn't just forgetting words. She was creating new meaning from scratch. A stove became a fire machine. A lighter, a flame bearer. I mean, think about it. She's not wrong, is she? She was seeing the essential truth, the connection, not just the label we've all agreed on.
Okay, so what do we do about all this? What's the way out? We need a new skill, a skill that can build a bridge between our rigid, linear systems and our messy hypermedia reality. And that skill is the power of decryption.
Just stop and think for a second. We are absolutely drowning in information, right? In stories and content. So in a world with literally infinite stories, what is the single most important skill you can have?
It's this, narrative decryption. The rules have completely changed. It's not about who can tell the best story anymore. It's about who can find the best story. It's the art of spotting the quiet, hidden narratives that are everywhere, and then figuring out how they all connect.
We actually saw this in action with those wild ducks from earlier. Remember them? They were the outsiders who were solving these massive corporate problems on crowdsourcing sites. But here's the thing. Their real genius wasn't just coming up with a smart answer. It was that they could look at the problem and completely reframe it. They could decrypt the real story hiding behind the official challenge. And you know what was driving them? Something deeply human, a fear of being insignificant. They weren't just solving problems, they were searching for meaning.
So the question is, how do we actually use this? We need a totally new way of thinking inside our organizations. It's time to, well, fight for our minds.
And right now there are two big ideas clashing. On one side, you've got materialism. This view sees all the stuff we create, our art, our writing, our ideas, as just a free resource to be scraped and exploited. It's the mindset that built the AI boom. On the other side, you have patrimonialism. This sees that very same human content as a precious cultural asset that we have to protect. And if we let that materialist view win, it leads us straight back into that cognitive collapse loop.
So that leaves us with a pretty clear framework for moving forward. Number one, you have to start growing that outsider mindset inside your own walls. Number two, you need to find and connect with those nonlinear thinkers, the wild ducks that you've probably been ignoring. And number three, and this is the big one, you have to treat original human creativity like it's the most valuable thing you have. Because it is.
And that really leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. The real competition we're in, it's not really about market share. It's not about who has the best tech. It's about stories. It's about which ones we choose to pay attention to and which ones we let fade away. The fight for the future of our businesses, and maybe our entire culture, is really a fight for the human mind itself.